Iran's Revolutionary Guard will officially be declared a terrorist group by the UK, according to that report in the Daily Telegraph. The paper says that Tom Tugendhat, the Security Minister, and Suella Braverman, the Home Secretary, both support the move, which is expected to be announced within weeks. That would put it in a similar category to Al-Qaeda and to ISIS, which would make it a criminal offence to belong to the IRGC, or to attend its meetings, or carry its logo in public, or encourage support of its activities. Now, that might not seem to be something you'd expect very much of in the UK, but in fact there has been more support shown even openly, with the IRGC flag unfurled during an anti-Israel demonstration in Trafalgar Square back in May 2021. And that was also shown in footage by one of the main Iranian news agencies. The UK would be catching up here with the US and Canada, who've already taken similar steps in relation to the IRGC, with Donald Trump having done something similar in 2019. Iran's Revolutionary Guards last week arrested 7 people with links to Britain over the anti-government protests that followed the death of Mahsa Amini, the 22-year-old Kurdish Iranian woman who was arrested for wearing inappropriate attire under Iran's strict Islamic dress code. And Britain's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak on Wednesday urged Iran to stop detaining dual nationals, saying that the practice shouldn't be used to obtain diplomatic leverage. So you can see that this is part of a general ratcheting up against Iran.
You mentioned the United States there, but where would this put the UK in relation to the rest of Europe when it comes to Iran?
Well, in talks about the Iranian nuclear deal, this obviously would be yet another nail in that coffin, and there's plenty of talk about that being dead, with Joe Biden having recently said as much off the record, but that was recorded and shown. And in fact, in terms of the UK, under Rishi Sunak and with recent moves, there do seem to be toughening of attitudes towards Iran. In November last year, the head of MI5 disclosed that Iran had plotted the assassination and kidnapping of at least 10 British residents during 2022 alone, accusing them of being enemies of the regime. Ken McCullum, who's MI5's Director General, said at the time in November that Iran was the state actor which most frequently crosses into terrorism, and labelled the Islamic Theocratic State's intelligence services a sophisticated adversary. His warnings came after it was revealed also that 2 Anglo-Iranian journalists based in the UK who work for an independent Persian language television channel had been targeted for assassination by Iran. Their employer had spoken out against the attempt aimed at the journalists, but the British police didn't comment at the time. But McCullum said in November that the current protests in Iran had seen the regime resort to violence to silence critics, and he added at the time that Iran projects threats to the UK directly through its aggressive intelligence services.
Thank you very much indeed, Jonathan Sacerdoti there in London.